Hello friends, welcome to this series of video lectures on Core Java for Beginners by Gate Gyaan. In previous lectures, we have seen how we can create arrays and how we can declare arrays in Java. So in this lecture, we are going to study about how we can initialize arrays in Java. By initializing, we mean supplying values to the elements of the array. Okay. So the first concept is default initialization. So what do you mean by default initialization? Once we create an array, then by default every element of the array is initialized with default values. So once you create an array, all the elements of the array are by default supplies default values. So what is the default value? This default value can vary from data type to data type. For example, for a string type it is a null. For object types in general it is null, and for integer data type it is it is 0. For byte data type it is 0. So it depends upon the data type. We will look at some examples, code examples, to understand it better. Here I have created a int array of size 2, and I have only created the array, I have not initialized. So let's see what default initialization values are in here. Okay, so I will compile this program. The program compiles fine, and now we'll run this program. Okay, so you can see both the lines print 0 0 0. So what does this mean? That the default values at index 0 and the index 1 is 1. That is the default value supplied by the compiler is 0. So next, see for the multidimensional array. Let's see, we create a multidimensional array 2 3. So if we print array 0 array 1 system, so this is 1 of 0 1 of 0 1, and let's say it is 3. So we create a two-dimensional array of size 2 cross 3, and let's try to print these values, that is array at 0, array at 1, array at 1 0, array at 0 1. If you print these values, what will you get? Let's see. The code compiles fine, and when we run, look at the we'll look at the outputs. So the first line, that is array 0, is printing something like this. Second line is printing something like this. Third line is printing 0, that is the default value of integer type, and the fourth line is this. Let's try to understand why we are getting this kind of output. So let's understand the structure. So what I am creating is a array 2 cross 3 integer array 2 cross 3. So what happens is that I've already told you Java creates array of arrays. So first it will create an array which will hold reference to the to one-dimensional array each of size 3. So the first index will hold a reference to a one-dimensional array of size 3, and second index also will hold a reference to a two-dimensional array, one-dimensional array of size 3, and the default values at all the indexes will be 0 because it is an integer type. And what will that they are the references, so they are the object. And when you print the object, when you print a object, what happens is that it prints the class it prints the class name. So the class name is array integer add followed by the hash code. There is a concept of hash code which will I discuss later in this course. So the array 0 is a reference. So this is so the reference, then what kind of reference is this? This is an array reference. So the array, what kind of array it is? One-dimensional array. So one-dimensional array of integer type add hash code and hash code. And what are the values at 1 0 and 0 1? They are by default 0. Okay, and let's say if I don't specify the size here 3, don't specify the size here, only I specify because I can declare it like this. Then what happens? Let's try to run this. First we will compile this program. The code compiles fine, and then I will run this program. You can see that what happens is that null, and there is a exception. Why there is exception and why there are null values here, we will explain. So what happens is that initially we supplied this value 3. Now we are not supplying this value 3, only we are supplying this value 2 for the base size. Then what happens is that this reference, these arrays are not created. These arrays are not created. They are not created. Okay, so they are absent. So what this, and since this is an array of arrays, because we are declaring a two-dimensional array, so this has to hold a reference. And what will the reference here? Because we are not supplying any array single dimensional array, so null values will be there. Because if you don't initialize any value in any value in Java, they will be initialized with default value, and I have already told you what is the default value of an object type, that is null. So null is present there. Okay, so when I try to print array of 0, what's get printed is null, and array of 1 is null. But when I try to print 1 of 0, that is the that what it does is means that null value, for the null value what is present at index 0. So if you try to access null value, then you will get null pointer exception in Java. So we are getting null pointer exception. Okay, so this was our concept of default initialization. Now we will look at another concept, which is override default values. How we can override the default values which are by default given to the array elements. So once we create an array, all the elements of the array by default initialize with the default values. But if we want to change these default values, we can override these default values with our custom values. For example, here I have created an array, integer array of three elements. So what will the default values present in them? 0 0 0. If I change it like this, like array at index 1 is equal to 2 and array at index 2 is equal to 3, then in place of 0 we have 2, and in place of 0 we have 3 here. So 0 to 2, 0 to 3, but we didn't change at this index, so it is 0 at this point of time also. So we just saw how we can override this value. Let's look at some code examples. Okay, so here let's see for multi-dimensional array also only. So here I will specify the size. Okay, first before initialization, before custom initialization they will print 0 and 0, but after custom initialization, let's see what they will print. Array of 1 and 0 is equal to, let's say, 4, and array of 0 1, let's say, is equal to 6. Okay, and let's try to print them again. Okay, so if I run this program, if I compile this program, code compiles fine. If I run this program, what you are getting? Before custom initialization, it is 0 0, that is default values, and after custom initialization they are 4 and 6. Okay, so we can change the values at our will. Let's say it is array 0 and array 1. So before custom initialization they will print. And if I don't specify this size, then what they will print? They will print null. You can see here. Null. They are printing null. Okay, and if I do custom initialization, that is array of 0 is equal to new int of 2, and array of 1 is equal to new int of 3. Okay, so what they will print now? Now first you can see they are printing null because object for reference type the default initialization is null, and then they are printing single dimensional array of integer type at hash code, single dimensional integer hash code. So we can see how we saw how we can do custom initialization and override default values. So that was our brief introduction of how we can do initialization of arrays in Java. In next lecture we will study about how we can do initialization, creation and declaration in a single line, and we'll do a detailed discussion of more topics related to array in upcoming lectures. So stay tuned. So if you like this video, please please hit the like button and share it with your friends, and please if you want these slides you can go to the link I've given in the description section, and please do comment your feedbacks. They will help me a lot, and if you have any doubt you can raise them in the comment section. I would love to answer them, and please subscribe to my channel to stay tuned to these videos, because if you don't want to miss any videos you must subscribe to my channel. Okay, thanks a lot for watching my video.